Dear students, today in this session we are going to study about Finance Commission and Central State Financial Relation in India. So we know that Indian economy is a federal economy. So being a federation, the powers are distributed between the union government and the state government. So like all other powers, the financial powers are also distributed between these two sets of government, that is between the union government and the state government. So the relation between central government and the state government is provided in the constitution. So the constitution is giving a detailed explanation regarding the distribution of financial resources between union and state. So all the regulations or all the detailed explanations or all the strategy with respect to the financial resource distribution was explained, or it is explained in the constitution. The sources of income of union government, we have already studied the sources of income of union government as well as the state government. So with respect to union government, the main sources include income tax, then agricultural income, customs duty, excise duties, etc. At the same time, the state government draws its main income from sources which are included in the, or which are mentioned in the state list, like land revenue, taxes on vehicles, sales tax, etc. And there are certain other taxes which are levied by union but are collected and appropriated by the states, like stamp duties, then duties of excise on medicinal and toilet preparations. So there are certain areas or certain subjects which the taxes are levied by the union and collected and appropriated by the states. So in all these ways, there are different sources of income for the union government as well as the state government. And in order to monitor the financial relations, there are different provisions for the establishment of Finance Commission under Article 280 of the Indian Constitution. So Article 280 of Indian Constitution explains the establishment of Finance Commission, whereby this Finance Commission is responsible for monitoring the financial relations of the state and union government. So Finance Commission, Article 280 of the Constitution is explaining about the establishment of Finance Commission. So the constitution makers were aware of the financial requirements of the state and the center, and the constitution makers were very clearly explained in an elaborated method the duties and responsibilities of the units of union and of the union itself while allocating resources to perform those duties. To meet these requirements, Finance Commission came into being. So in order to meet the financial requirements of the union government and also the financial requirements of the state government, Finance Commission came into being. It was also called Vitt Ayog in Hindi. It is defined as the financial relations. Finance Commission can be defined as financial relations between the central and state governments of India, or the sole responsibility of financial relations or financial requirements of state and union government is under the Finance Commission. So it is a constitutional body for the purpose of collection of certain revenue resources between central and state and among the states as per the constitutional arrangement and present requirements. So the financial resource allocation and arrangement as per the requirement is performed by the Finance Commission. So it is formed every 5 years to give suggestions on central state financial relations. So the term of a Finance Commission, normally it is 5 years. So every 5 years Finance Commission will be constituted in order to give new suggestions regarding the central state financial relations of Indian economy. So mainly this Finance Commission is required to make recommendations on sharing of central taxes with states, then distribution of central grants to states, then measures to improve the finances of states to supplement the resources of local bodies like panchayats and municipalities, and any other matter referred to. So these are the major areas upon which each finance commission is responsible to make certain recommendations. So how the central taxes are shared with the states, then the grants from the central government, how it is distributed among the states, then different measures, what are the different measures to improve the financial resources of the states in order to supplement the resources of local self-governments, and also any other matters, relevant matters which comes under the financial relations of the state or finance commission. Now, as we have already discussed, Article 280 of the Indian Constitution explains the establishment of Finance Commission by the Indian President. It was formed in 1951. So, every 5 years, new Finance Commission will be appointed, and the Finance Commission is constituted of one chairman and 4 other members. And it shall be the duty of Commission to make recommendations to the President in relation to the distribution. We have already seen it, distribution between union and states, the net proceeds of tax. So, how the tax distribution is made between the central government and the state government. It may be divided between them, and allocation between states of the respective shares of each tax proceeds. Then the principles which should govern the grants in aid. So, the grants in aid from the central government, how this grants in aid will be distributed to the states out of the Consolidated Fund of India. So, Consolidated Fund of India means the revenues which are received by the government through taxes and expenses incurred in the form of borrowings and loans. So, that is the area which is included in the Consolidated Fund of India. So, how this out of the Consolidated Fund of India, how the grants in aid are provided to the states by the union government. Then any other matter referred to the commission by the President. So, in order to make a better financial position, or in order to bring a sound finance in the economy, what are the different recommendations or matters referred to the Finance Commission by the President? All those matters will be taken up by the Finance Commission, and the Commission shall determine their procedure and shall have such powers in the performance of their functions as Parliament may by law confer on them. So, this Commission have the power to determine the procedure for the performance of the functions which are levied upon the Finance Commission. So, these are the duty of the Commission, or these are the responsibilities of the Commission, and it have to make recommendations on these key matters. Now, a small look upon the history of the Finance Commission. So, it was established in 1951 by the then Law Minister Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to address the imbalances in the financial positions of the country. And two distinctive features of the Commission's work involved redressing the vertical imbalance between taxation powers and expenditure responsibility of the center and state respectively, and equalization of all public services. So, these are the two features upon which this Finance Commission was working in the beginning of the establishment of Finance Commission. One is redress or reduce the imbalance, vertical imbalance between taxation power and expenditure. So, there is an imbalance between the taxation power and expenditure responsibility of the center and state. So, this vertical imbalance should be redressed, should be solved. And another major feature is all public services should be provided in an equitable manner across the states. So, equalization of all public services across the states. Now, several provisions to bridge the fiscal gap between the centre and state were already enshrined in the Constitution of India, including different articles. 268. Article 268 says about the levy of duties by the centre but equips the state to collect and retain the same. Then Article 269, 270, 75, 282, 293, all these articles specify different ways and means of sharing resources between the union and state. So, different articles or different areas of the Constitution explains the solutions or explain different procedures for reducing or lowering the gap, fiscal gap between the center and state. Okay. Now, though all these provisions were already enshrined in the Constitution, still there are different problems or different limitations with respect to the actualization of all these provisions or these procedures. So that the Finance Commission was constituted, and the first Finance Commission was constituted on November 22, 1951 under the chairmanship of Sri K.C. Niyogi on 6th April 1952. So, the chairman of the first Finance Commission was Sri K.C. Niyogi, and he was appointed as the chairman of the first Finance Commission on 6th April 1952. 2. And so far 15 finance commission have been constituted for every 5 years in Indian economy. And what is the need, or why there is a need for finance commission in Indian economy? So already we have discussed different points regarding this. So Indian economy is a federal economy. There is division of powers and responsibilities between the central and state, and also the taxation powers are broadly divided between center and state, and state legislatures may devolve some of their taxation powers to local bodies also. So there is a distribution of power and responsibilities, or distribution of financial resources between state government, union government, as well as the local bodies. So the center collects majority of the tax revenue as it enjoys scale of economies in the collection of certain taxes. Then states have responsibility of delivering public goods in their area due to their proximity to local issues and needs. So tax revenue is mainly collected by the union government. State government have the responsibility of delivering public goods in their areas, and that means there is a requirement of financial resources for the states. Sometimes this leads to state incurring expenditure higher than the revenue. So that is the problem. In many situations, there is a deficit in state governments. The expenditure will be higher with respect to the revenue generated by the state. Also, due to regional disparities, some states are unable to raise adequate resources as compared to others. So in certain states, there are more opportunities or more scope for raising revenue in the form of tax revenue or any other form of revenue. But in certain states, there is no such scope for raising more revenue. So there is regional disparities, and this regional disparities brings different level of expenditures to each states. So to address these imbalances, the Finance Commission recommended the extent of central funds to be shared with the state. So in order to solve this fiscal imbalance problem, Finance Commission recommended the central funds to be shared with the state. So till 2000 or prior to 2000, only the income tax revenue and union excise duty was shared by the center with the state. So the only revenue or the only revenue source that was shared by the center with the states include income tax revenue and union excise duty on certain goods till 2000 or before 2000. And an amendment in 2000 in the constitution allowed for all central taxes to be shared with the states. So in 2000 there occurs an amendment with respect to the constitution, and that amendment recommends sharing of all central tax with the states. So that will redress the problem of revenue deficit with respect to certain states. And several other federal countries like Pakistan, Malaysia, Australia, all these countries have similar bodies like our Finance Commission, which recommend the manner in which central funds to be shared with the states. So in different countries, different federal countries, this Finance Commission is existing in one form or another, which explains or which take up the situation of fund sharing between central and state governments. So the functions of Finance Commission under 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments makes it the duty of the Commission to suggest the measures needed to augment the consolidated fund of state to supplement the resources of panchayats and municipalities. So under 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments, which constitute our panchayati raj institutions and municipalities, the Finance Commission suggests different measures that have to be taken up in order to supplement the resources to the panchayat and municipalities out of the consolidated fund of India. Under Article 360, so during the proclamation of financial emergency, the President can give financial directives to the state. So during financial emergency situations, the President have the power, or President can give financial directives directly to the states. Besides distribution of tax revenue, union government supplement the financial resource by two other ways. One is grants in aid, other is advancement of loans to the states. So the main financial resource that is provided by the union government, it is the tax revenue, distribution of tax revenue from center to state. Other than this tax revenue, there are two other financial resources, that is grants in aid provided by the central government to the states. Also advancement of loans to the states. So these two are also other sources of revenue for the state governments. And so far as financial relation between center and state are concerned, it amply proves that the constitution has established a strong union government. In the post 1991 era of liberalization, or after the economic reforms of 1991, economy has got a new dimension with the development of means of communication, and the role of union government has increased for the balanced and rapid economic development. So after the economic reforms, as part of liberalization policy, the union government become strong enough, and the performance or functioning of the union government increased in order to empower the developmental procedure, or in order to increase the balanced regional development as well as rapid economic growth of the Indian economy. Now, composition of transfers between the central and state government. So, central tax devolved to states are untied funds, and states can spend them according to their discretion. So, the tax or the revenue that is provided to the central tax, that is untied. There is no restriction upon the state regarding the distribution or spending of these resources. So, states can spend the financial resources or the revenue getting from this center according to their discretion. Over the years, tax devolved to state has constituted over 80% of total central transfers to state. So, 80% of the total central transfers to states are devolved from the center. So, the center provides grants to states and local bodies which must be used for specific purposes, and these grants ranging between 12% to 19%. So, out of the total transfers, 12 to 19% of grants is provided by the center, which have to be used for specific purposes. Over the years, core mandate of the commission has remained unchanged, and the 12th Finance Commission evaluated the fiscal position of states and offered relief to those that enacted their fiscal responsibility and budget management laws. Then 13th and 14th Finance Commission assessed the impact of GST on economy. 13th Finance Commission also incentivized states to increase forest cover by providing additional grants. And later, the 15th Finance Commission, chaired by Mr. N.K. Singh, was constituted to give recommendations on the transfer of resources from center to state. So, over the years, there is the differences among the central and state government regarding the transfer of resources, and the latest 15th Finance Commission recommended or bring forward certain recommendations with respect to transfer of resources from center to state. Okay, so according to 15th Finance Commission, it is mandated to review the impact of 14th Finance Commission on the fiscal position of the center. So, first recommendation, or the Finance Commission made it mandatory to review what is the impact of 14th Finance Commission recommendation, how far the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission on the fiscal position of the center was taken up. So, that review had to be made. Then the debt level of central and state. What is the debt level of central and state, and recommend a roadmap regarding that. Then another recommendation, impact of GST. So, by that time GST, goods and service tax, was imposed on the economy, and what is the impact of GST on the economy. And also the 15th Finance Commission recommend performance based incentives for states based on their effort to control population, promote ease of doing business, control expenditure, etc. So, in order to control, or in order to bring up certain areas of the economy, performance based incentives for state was recommended by the 15th Finance Commission on different areas like population control, then promote business activities, that is ease of doing business, control expenditure on populist measures, etc. So, the major recommendations of Finance Commission, we have already seen this: distribution between the state and municipalities, the net proceeds of tax, allocation of share of each proceeds between municipalities, determination of taxes, duties, tolls, fees, etc. by the municipalities, grants in aid to municipalities from the Consolidated Fund of India, and the different measures that are needed to improve the financial position of the municipality. So these are some of the common recommendations of all the Finance Commission. The major functions with respect to Finance Commission, that was also what we have explained so far are included as the functions. All those were the functions of Finance Commission. So in order to just make a review regarding the functions of Finance Commission, it is responsible for the distribution of net proceeds of tax between central and state government. So that was a major function of any Finance Commission, which should be made on the basis of respective contribution of states to the taxes. Then the factors governing grants that are made to states. Grants in aid from the center to state, that was also determined by the Finance Commission. The amount to be fixed in the form of aid by the center to state government. And another major function, make recommendations to the President, the required measures that are needed to increase the fund of a state in order to supplement the resources for local level government, panchayat and municipalities. So for state governments, they have to get enough resources in order to give it to the panchayat or municipalities, and Finance Commission have to make recommendations to increase the measures that are needed to increase the fund of state. Then grants in aid, governing the grants in aid to the states by the center. Then Finance Commission, another function is extend the consolidated fund of state to boost the resources of panchayats and municipalities. Any matter in the interest of sound finance may be referred to the commission. So any matters which is required for the proper maintenance of the financial position of an economy, it is under the function of Finance Commission. Then Finance Commission have enough power to exercise all its functions, and as per the Code of Civil Procedure 1908, the Finance Commission has all the powers of a civil court. It can call witnesses, ask for production of a public document or record from any of. So Finance Commission have enough and more powers, which is equal to the power of a civil court. At any time, Finance Commission can call anybody, ask anyone to produce certain documents or records from any office or court. Then the members, some additional information regarding Finance Commission. So according to Finance Commission Act 1951, the Finance Commission Rules 1951, Chairman of the Finance Commission is selected from among persons who have had experience in public affairs. So the Finance Commission Chairman is selected from among the people who have experience in public affairs, and 4 other members are selected among persons who are qualified to be appointed as judges of a high court, then special knowledge of finances and accounts of government, have enough experience in financial matters and in administration, and also special knowledge of economics. So these are the conditions upon which the members of a Finance Commission will be constituted. And this is the list of Finance Commission of India over these years. So 1st to 15th. First Finance Commission was established in 1951, and the latest 15th Finance Commission was established in 2017. Chairman of the first Finance Commission, K.C. Niyogi. Latest N.K. Singh was he is the chairman of the present 15th Finance Commission. So a small note regarding first Finance Commission chairman, K.C. Niyogi or Shirish Chandra Niyogi. He was an Indian politician from West Bengal. He was a member of Constituent Assembly of India, first Cabinet of Independent India, and the chairman of first Finance Commission. And he have held a number of important posts in government, including chairman of Planning Advisory Board, Indian Railway Enquiry Committee, UN Commission on Human Rights. He was elected as a member of Constituent Assembly of India, and after independence he has become a member of the first Cabinet of Independent India under Jawaharlal Nehru as the Minister of Relief and Rehabilitation, and later as Minister for Commerce. And in 1951 he was appointed as the first Finance Commission Chairman of the India. Now 15th Finance Commission, we have already seen, it was constituted in 2017, and the major function or major responsibility upon this 15th Finance Commission was to give recommendations regarding the devolution of taxes and other fiscal matters for 5 fiscal years, that is 2020 1st April. And the commission's chairman is Nand Kishore Singh, N.K. Singh. So the commission was formed in 2017 November 27th. This is N.K. Singh, who is the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. Now, some information regarding economic reforms and center-state relations. So, we know that in 1991 economic reforms was launched, and it was mainly designed to convert Indian economy into a market-oriented, into an open economy as part of LPG policy or as a global economy, as part of new economic reforms. Our economy was designed towards a market-oriented or towards an open economy model. And this transition involves the gradual removal of many of the fiscal controls such as industrial licensing, exchange control, import restrictions, price control. So there were different restrictions upon the economy prior to 1991 or before economic reforms. As part of the transition of economy after 1991, many of these controls or regulations have to be removed. Another important aspect of liberalization was to steep reduction of investment in public enterprises, opening most of the sectors to private sector. So as part of liberalization and as part of privatization, most of the investments, majority of the sectors were opened up to the private sector. And as an impact of these policy changes, state governments have had their spheres and freedom of action. So there is an increase in the area of operation or in the performance of state governments, and each state is free to develop its economic, social, intellectual infrastructure which attract and develop industries to those states. So states have every freedom to expand all their resources, all their social, economic and political and infrastructural background, and the states, we can do anything to attract investment to their states. So with the abolishment of industrial licensing by the central government, state have the power to approve the establishment of large industries. So many of the regulations or licensing or control on the starting up of new industries were removed, and state have the power to approve, give approval, give permission to the establishment of different industries. Also, states can compete for foreign direct investment with automatic approval. All these developments represent considerable decentralization of economic decision making. So there is a decentralization with respect to all spheres of economic decision making. Okay, and also as part of economic reforms, we have seen that majority of the investment is done by the private sector, and as a result, the control of Central Planning Commission upon the investment has been decreased a lot because privatization was encouraged, liberalization was encouraged. So many of the industries were very freely, they can start new industries. So the control upon all these sectors has drastically reduced. State government investments in sectors like education, health, power, roads, all these investment are increased, and only nominally or very less scrutiny from the part of the Central Planning Commission was carried out in these investments which are carried out in the state governments. So these are areas in which a major part of public sector investment will take place in future, all mainly in the spheres of the state. So all these areas will be fully under the control of the state governments. Especially education, health, power, road, irrigation sectors, all these infrastructural or investment will be upon the responsibility of the state government. And it can be concluded that liberalization in India has not only led to a more efficient economic system, but also it has strengthened the federalism. So liberalism in different way was a very great transition that has happened to Indian economy as part of liberalization. State government can enjoy all the powers they were meant to enjoy, but which the central government was restricted in the earlier period. So state government, though it can do many things upon its power, in the earlier period or before 1991, every area is under this scrutinization or under the centralized planning, and this has reduced to a very great extent. State government now can enjoy more powers than before. So, in India's federal architecture, we can conclude that the Finance Commission have a major role. So, Article 280 says the Finance Commission was formed in order to define the financial relations between central and state government, and Finance Commission assess overall tax revenue of the union, cess, surcharge, non-tax revenue, all source of revenue is assessed by the, or it was assessed by the Finance Commission. And as part of constitutional amendment in 2000, the divisible pool now consists of all tax. All central taxes are transferred to the state. So, in deciding the distribution of corpus contained in the net divisible pool, the Finance Commission undertakes consultations and visit all subnational government and receive their memorandums and submissions as well as those of the union government. So, the Finance Commission, in order to distribute this tax revenue among the state governments, Finance Commission will review all the subnational governments other than the union government alone. So, instead of focusing fully on the union government, Finance Commission now receives submissions, receives recommendations and make consultations with respect to different subnational governments. And the needs of the central and subnational governments, the Commission then decides on what percentage out of the total divisible pool these subnational governments have to be assigned with, and leave the balance to the central government. So, among the total divisible pool of resources, what amount should be assigned to each subnational government is decided by the Commission upon the timely consultation and timely review made by the Finance Commission, and what is rest or what the balance remains will be handed over to the central government. The 14th Finance Commission decided that 42% of the net divisible pool should be go to the subnational governments by way of devolution. So, each Finance Commission have different recommendations, and 14th Finance Commission recommend 42% should be devolved to subnational governments, and the balance should be given to the central government. Also, after projecting the likely growth rate of individual subnational governments, a revenue deficit grant under Article 275 was also given to the subnational government, in addition to already provided resources out of the resources of the government for disaster management and state specific grants. And also, with regard to interstate allocation of resources among the subnational government, Finance Commission decides on the parameters and then assign weights to them. So, different parameters are set by the Finance Commission and weights are given to all these parameters, and based on this parameters like population, income, distance, geographic area, fiscal compliance, all these parameters will be considered by the Finance Commission, and the weightages will be assigned to all the individual factors, and based on this Finance Commission will decide how much resources should be allocated on an interstate basis among the subnational government. And over the years, the fiscal transfers to the state, there is what is the trend in fiscal transfers to the state over the years. So, based on the recommendations of the Finance Commission, the fiscal federalism or the fiscal transfers from central government to subnational governments was performed over the years, and it consists of tax devolution and grants mainly. With the initiation of planned economic development and center intervention in a number of subjects in the state list in the form of centrally sponsored scheme, a number of transfers are taking place outside the recommendation of Finance Commission. So, other than the recommendations of the Finance Commission, there is a planned economic development procedure formulated in the economy, and also the intervention from the part of the central government, which is in the form of centrally sponsored scheme. A large number of additional transfers are provided to the state from the central government outside the recommendations of Finance Commission. So, to gain a comprehensive view of central transfers, it is important to analyze the aggregate transfer. So, in order to get a complete picture or clear picture regarding the transfer of resources from central to state, it is important to make an analysis regarding the aggregate transfers, that is the transfers upon the recommendation of the Finance Commission plus the transfers outside this Finance Commission recommendations, like centrally sponsored schemes. Both of these transfers should be analyzed in an aggregate view or aggregate transfer should be analyzed. The study shows that vertical as well as horizontal balances recommended by the Finance Commission can be counterbalanced to some extent by the Union through cesses and surcharges or through non-commission transfers. So, all the imbalances can be counterbalanced by the Union through the levy of additional taxes like cess, surcharge, etc. Now, as an impact of the acceptance of recommendations of 14th Finance Commission, there is a decline in discretionary transfer since 2015-16 from the center. So, the discretionary transfer from the center, there is a decline due to the recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission. So, with the removal of distinction between plan and non-plan expenditure, the predominant share of Finance Commission transfers in total transfers is likely to continue if the center does not use its fiscal headroom to introduce more schemes funded by the center. So, the distinction between plan and non-plan expenditure was removed to a certain extent, and as a result, the prominent share of Finance Commission in total, so out of the total transfer, the share of Finance Commission transfers is likely to continue if the center does not use its fiscal headroom to introduce more schemes. If center is not using its fiscal balance, fiscal amount for introducing more schemes funded by the center. So, the success of a federal system lies in, we can conclude that the success of a federal system lies in its proportional revenue raising capacity with the responsibility at different levels of government. It is the major responsibility of the federal system or major area that have to be given focus, that is proportional revenue raising capacity. In India, vertical imbalances exist historically with the center mobilizing higher taxes and subnational governments invested with greater responsibility. So, over the period we can see that in Indian economy there is an existence of vertical imbalances whereby center is mobilizing higher taxes, but the responsibilities for many of the investments lies in the subnational governments. So, rebalancing mechanism can take the form of transfer to subnational governments from center. So, in order to solve this vertical imbalance, there should be a rebalancing mechanism, and that rebalancing mechanism should be in the form of transfer to subnational governments. More transfers should be made to subnational governments so that these subnational governments can invest this amount in the appropriate channels. So, it comprises tax devolution, then grants in aid recommended by the Finance Commission, then grants and loans from the center to subnational government outside the Finance Commission recommendations, which is in the form of centrally sponsored scheme. So, only when the fiscal imbalances is reduced to its maximum extent, any federal system of government can succeed in its functioning and can improve the economic growth and development. So, this is the story of Finance Commission and the central state financial relations in Indian economy. Thank you.